I gave that family 27 years. It took one paper plate to show me what all of it was worth. By the end of that night, I would leave my wedding ring on a kitchen counter beside a stack of unused napkins. And I would never go back. I stood in my mother-in-law's kitchen with roast beef cooling on a paper plate. On the other side of the swinging door, 22 people were laughing in the dining room. Arthur's voice boomed over his wife's 75th birthday. My wife, Sarah, kept one hand on the door. She held it open barely an inch. She would not look at the plate in my hand. Mark's dad showed up, she said low. Mark was our niece Claire's fiancé. His father was prominent, with the kind of last name Arthur respected. Sarah glanced back toward the dining room. "We need the chair, just tonight." I stared at her. She leaned closer, her words clipped. "Please, David, don't make this ugly. You're easy about this stuff. Real family understands." Then she let the door swing shut in my face. The laughter swelled through the cheap wood. I looked down at my hands. They were gray with carbon dust from 12 hours pulling wire at the Lansing substation. For 27 years, I had been the easygoing one. I lost my parents young, so Sarah's family became the only table I had. I fixed their breakers, built the deck where our daughter Lindsay learned to walk, and told myself being useful was the same as being loved. That night, they did not even give me a chair.
Uh, Men after 27 years, not even a chair. That really hurts.
I set the plate on the laminate counter. Then I took off my wedding ring. It stuck at the knuckle for a second. 27 years of work had made my hands thicker than the man who first put it on. When it finally came loose, I placed it beside the napkins. Quietly, I took my keys, walked out the back screen door into the cold Michigan air, and got into my truck. Nobody called my name. Sarah started calling before I reached Rockford. I let the phone buzz until I was inside our dark house in my work boots. When I answered, she did not sound worried. She sounded embarrassed. "Where are you?" she said sharply. "Mom asked where you were for cake. I had to say you got an emergency call." "The emergency call was 27 years late," I said, "but I finally answered it. You left your ring like a child." "No," I said, "I left it where you put me." Her breath caught, then the anger came back. "You are humiliating me over a chair. It was never the chair, Sarah. It is always something with you." That was when Lindsay called. My daughter lived in Chicago now. "Dad?" Her voice was already breaking. "Mom said you screamed at her in Grandma's kitchen. She said you stormed out because Mark's father needed a seat. How could you do that tonight?" I sat on the edge of the bed. I did not scream at anyone. Mom would not lie to me about this.
This is even worse. Now his own daughter believes the wrong story.
Those words hurt worse than the kitchen. Because Sarah had not just put me behind a door, she had reached ahead and locked it from the other side. I packed a duffel bag, grabbed my work coat, boots, and the tax folders from the file cabinet. Then I drove north to the small cabin in Manistee National Forest, the place Sarah's family called worthless until they needed repairs. At 2 in the morning, a pink sticky note slid out of an old folder, a Comcast email login, an account Sarah and I had not used in years. Men like me spend our lives tracing bad circuits. You learn that the burned wire is never where the smoke first shows. I logged in. The sent folder opened like a drawer full of knives. The first email was to Eleanor, Sarah's mother, right after Arthur joked in front of everyone about men who sweat for a living. Sarah had written, "Mom, don't worry. David didn't notice. He's simple that way." I told him Dad apologized, so he'll still bring the generator next weekend. I sat in the laptop glow. Then I found one to Tom, her brother. David wanted to do the roof. He has no family of his own, and the country club makes him uncomfortable. It keeps him busy. There were more, but the one that made me call Tom was about his hospital bill. The next morning, I stood on the porch and called him. "Did Sarah ever tell you I helped with your hospital bill?" I asked. Tom went quiet. "What hospital bill?" "After your surgery." "Sarah told me insurance denied part of the claim. She said you were too proud to ask, so I wrote the check." His breathing changed. "David," he said slowly, "Mom and Dad told me they covered that." "They did not. I thanked them for that money." "I know," I said. Sarah made sure you would. For a few seconds, all I heard was the wind moving through the pines. Then Tom said, "She told me you knew about it, but you didn't want me bringing it up because it made you feel important." I closed my eyes. I did not need credit, Tom. I just did not know I was being erased. After that, I asked him one more question. "Did Sarah ever tell you why I missed your wedding?" He sounded tired now. "She said you refused to wear a suit. Said you didn't want to look out of place in the pictures. I bought a navy suit for your wedding. Sarah told me there was a seating problem and asked me to watch your dogs. I spent that Saturday on our porch wearing it." Tom said nothing, so I forwarded the emails. This time, I did not explain. I let the dates do it. By Friday, my lawyer Susan called while I was splitting wood. "David," she said, "there's a $40,000 draw on your home equity line. It went to Claire, and there are invoices paid to a business registered under your name." My hands tightened. "What business?" "Electrical and carpentry work. Arthur paid $6,000 for cabin wiring. The check was endorsed in your name." "I did that wiring for free." "I know," Susan said. "That's the problem." I called Arthur. He answered, ready to scold me. "David, if you have gripes, handle them like a man, not by poisoning Tom with old emails." "Arthur," I said, "did you pay $6,000 for the cabin wiring?" "Of course I did. Who was the check made out to?" "I never saw it." "I did that job for free because Sarah told me you were struggling." Silence. Then, colder, "I don't believe you." "Then go to your study," I said. "The walnut gun cabinet. Pull the bottom drawer all the way out. Look at the back left corner where the slide meets the frame." "What am I looking for?" "My union stamp. And my signature." He muttered something, but I heard the phone hit a desk. Then footsteps. A drawer scraped. Wood groaned off its tracks. And then nothing. For nearly 2 minutes, I listened to an old man meet the truth.
See, now the truth is finally coming out. This was never just about a chair.
When Arthur came back, his voice was smaller than I had ever heard it. "Sarah said she bought this for my 70th. I built it in our garage after evening shifts for 3 months. She said it was from both of us." His breathing shook. "It has your stamp." "Yes." "And your signature." "Yes." He hung up. An hour later, Arthur called back. For a while, he only breathed into the receiver. Then he said, "I spent 27 years thinking you were lucky to be part of this family. I did not realize we were lucky you stayed." I had no answer for that. Sometimes an apology arrives so late it cannot repair anything, but it still tells you the truth has finally reached the room. That should have felt good. It did not. It felt like a house finally collapsing after years of termites. She drove to the cabin Saturday night. No makeup. No perfect smile. Just Sarah on my cold porch, realizing her family had started comparing notes. "David," she said, barely above the wind, "I made mistakes. I stayed inside the doorway. Mistakes are wrong dates on a calendar." Her eyes filled. "Dad looked down on you. Tom joked about you. I was trying to keep peace." "No," I said. "You were trying to keep your seat at their table." She flinched. "We can fix the money. We can tell Dad it was an accounting error. You forged my name. I was desperate." "For what?" She had no answer, because the answer was not survival. It was image. "If you divorce me," she said, "Dad will never look at me the same way." I nodded slowly. "Now you know how it feels. The divorce cost me the Rockford house and half my retirement. People say walking away is freedom. Sometimes it is freedom with a bill attached." Lindsay did not call for a week. Then one Sunday afternoon, gravel popped under tires outside the cabin. I stepped onto the porch and saw her beside her car in a wool coat, a folder hugged to her chest. She had driven from Chicago. For a second, she looked 8 years old again, scared to climb the steps after breaking something she could not fix. "Dad," she said. I did not move. She opened the folder with shaking hands. Inside were copies of Sarah's emails, Arthur's check, and a photo of the stamp under the gun cabinet drawer. "I went to Grandpa's," she said. He showed me everything, the cabinet, the check, the emails, all of it. Her face crumpled. I am so sorry I believed her. I looked at my daughter carrying proof she never should have had to carry. You were a child, I said. She told you a story. You believed your mother. That is not a sin. She crossed the porch and hugged me hard enough that the folder slipped between us. That was the first time since the paper plate that something in my chest loosened. On Thanksgiving, I sat alone on the cabin porch with coffee going cold. Tom sent me a picture from Arthur's dining room. Sarah stood near the kitchen doorway holding a casserole dish like she did not know where to put herself. My old chair was empty beside Arthur. Then a short video came through. Arthur's voice was low but clear. Sarah, he said, you lied to me about him. You stole from him, and you fed him in the kitchen so we could impress strangers. Nobody moved. Arthur put one hand on the back of the empty chair. This chair stays empty today, he said. It belongs to David, not Sarah, not Eleanor, not Mark's prominent father. Nobody spoke after that. For once, the silence was not mine to carry. I put the phone in my pocket and walked down toward the river. The air stung my lungs, but it was clean enough to make me keep breathing. For 27 years, I thought belonging meant being useful. I was wrong. Belonging means they still save you a chair when there is nothing left for you to fix. If you have ever given everything to people who only valued what you could do for them, tell me in the comments. And if you have ever had to walk away from family just to feel like yourself again, this story was for you.
This story is painful, but it teaches one thing very clearly. Love is not about how much you can fix for people. A real family should respect you, protect you, and save you a seat. If someone only values you when they need something, sometimes walking away is the only way to find yourself again. So this was, as you guys know, it was a fictional story, but it the lesson it teaches is 100% worth to take. So I will take the lesson, I would say. We can pick some things, we can understand those, and I would say that's pretty much it for today. And thank you so much for staying with me till now. And I just want to say, take care of yourself. Till the next video, I will catch you. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.